This is A-Game, fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So what we're talking about today is this is still the Harlem review from a feminine perspective. And what we're talking about is the tropes, okay? And we need a thorough understanding of the tropes assigned to Black women throughout art and media and cinema and television and other popular media outlets and resources, okay? Because what they've done is a similar thing, although not the same thing, to Black women via these tropes that we see, these archetypes that we see played out in movies and all of the other media outlets. As I said, the same thing that they did to Black men with the original birth of a nation narrative that persists even now today, and that have infiltrated the culture to such an extent that people actually have come to believe that Black men are inherently the way that they have been portrayed. A similar thing has gone on with Black women, although Black women have not really perceived the problem here. They have not perceived the fact that they have been made into or coerced into these archetypes that they now live out, okay? Talk about tropes and archetypes. What we're really talking about are the sapphires, the mammies, the Jezebels, and the queens. And those are your modern day tropes. But what we want to talk about today is how those tropes came about, why those tropes came about, and what they're really based on and what they're really meant to do. So the first thing that we have to really understand is that everyone has a set of stereotypes and a set of tropes assigned to them. Okay, when we talk about women, and we're just going to use white women as an example in movies, cinema, and all of that, they have a bunch of different tropes. But at the core of any of them, you have a woman who is inherently good. If she's bad, she's not bad because she's inherently so. She's bad because there are external situations that force her to make the decisions that a bad person would make, but she's always redeemable. She's always really a good woman at the core, and she can always come back away from whatever bad decisions or bad actions that she was maybe perhaps forced to make. So, but for Black women, that hasn't been the case at all. Black women's tropes have been designed to erase the concept of a good Black woman to begin with, okay? All of those tropes, the mammies, the Jezebel, the queen, and the sapphire, are there to ingrain and instill in us, and all of the other tropes that stem from that, right? Because there are more than just four. There's the main four, of which the mammies at the top, and then the other three, and then what branches from them are all of the other tropes that we see, the strong independent, you know what I'm saying, the 304, all of these sorts of things. And we're going to actually get to that. But I really want to discuss how we got here, how these things came from good women and flipping the concept of what a good woman really was. So every trope that is aimed at or focuses on or is portrayed by Black women is based on the virtuous woman, okay? That we read about, if you read in your Bible, in Proverbs 31, talks about the virtuous woman, and it is really the character that all tropes are measured by. So what we're talking about is those tropes, when they're aimed at Black women, are designed to flip the concept of the good woman on its head, okay? And assign to us inherently bad. We're inherently bad. There aren't really ever any redeeming qualities or anything like that. And if we happen to show some virtue or some good quality, it's undergirded by some fatal character flaw, or we're only doing it to get some selfish need met that returns us back to being a bad woman. So what I'm talking about is this: the virtuous woman has 9 good traits that help define who she is. She's got love, joy, peace, forbearance, which is long suffering, kindness, which is gentleness, goodness, faithfulness, okay, gentleness, and self-control, right? Temperance. She can control her emotional responses, right? She can control herself. These are the fruit of the spirit. And when you have a good woman, this woman actually exemplifies and exudes this type of spirit. But we don't see that played out in terms of stereotype aimed at Black women, or that focuses on Black women, or that is portrayed by a Black woman. I bet you can't think of one modern character that really exemplified goodness, and she was good because she was good. Not good because someone was forcing her to be, or not good because someone was abusing her and subjecting her, but good because she was inherently a good woman. And this is how they destroy Black women, really, and get us to buy into the reality that there are no good Black women, that she doesn't exist. On a basic biological level, good Black women can't exist. The same way that good Black men can't exist. He can't, right? Because there's nothing good in him. So this is the same thing, just the different side of the same coin for Black women. There's nothing in us that could be good, right? We're inherently the 304. We are inherently the Mammy. We're inherently the Jezebel. We're inherently the Sapphire. We're inherently that. And there's no set of circumstances that can ever change that, or that we would ever adapt to, or anything, right? So let's get back to it. When we talk about a good woman, before we can understand how devastating the negative trope is, we have to understand how good the good measure, or the standard by which this bad is measured by. So you know what I mean? So before we can understand the rain, we have to understand the sunshine. Okay? So when we talk about a good woman, not those 9 traits which I named, which are the fruit of the spirit: the love, the joy, the peace, the forbearance, the kindness, the goodness, the faithfulness, the gentleness, the self-control. Okay, all of this goes into defining a woman's worth. So when we talk about a woman's worth, talking about her usefulness, and the flip side, her uselessness determines her worth, right? And that's what they've gotten Black women to not understand. We don't understand that. So when we talk about worth, what we're really talking about is the valuable woman, okay? So when we're talking about this, let's start off with the personal market value, right? You are, or you are not, valuable to yourself. Meaning, if you can't benefit from you, then you're of no value to yourself. And when I say benefit from you, benefit from your own biology, your own energy, and your own environment. So there's a personal biology, culture, and environment that each one of us carries within ourselves, right? So if a woman isn't beneficial to herself in these three areas, she isn't beneficial. She is of no value, right? But she is of value when she can benefit. If you're the only one who benefits from you, you're only valuable to yourself. And then that's called being selfish, okay? So in each one of these phases, we can see how a good woman is actually valuable not only to herself, but the other people around her. And when you either aren't valuable at all, or you are valuable only to you, which is extreme selfishness, which is really what we're seeing today. The second one is belong and market value. You are, or you are not, a valuable member of your family, group, career, or society, right? If your family, your group, career, society can't benefit from you, then you're of no value to them. And if you're the only one who benefits from your family, your group, your career, your society, you'll ruin those relationships through selfishness, right? Because that's what they really promote to us. Even when they're not talking about the tropes in media, we can see this parallel even through Black women's grasping of feminism, right? Which has given us the ultimate selfishness. We claim to have personal market value. We claim to have belonging market value. We claim, but we only benefit us when we have that, which is the ultimate selfishness. So we're benefiting possibly out of family, out of group, out of career, out of, you know what I mean? Like, we're benefiting from it, and that's fine. But then many times we're the only ones benefiting. We don't like to give, we like to receive, right? Our own desires, happiness, or whatever is the only thing that really matters. No one else's matters. So this is why you have, and not to divert too far, but this is why you have women who will just leave an entire family or marriage talking about her happiness, right? Talking about, well, I'm not happy. Because what? Her happiness is what? More important than the happiness of the forward movement of the group. So I'm not going to veer too far down that road, but just to bring that to reality to you, what I'm speaking about, that level of selfishness that we now inherently have, that we were told was something good that we were supposed to have. Oh, it's just self-love, it's just self-care. And there's a space for that. There's a space for self-love and self-care, but there's not really a space for this ultimate level of selfishness that many of us engage in, right? So then let's move back to the chart. So then we're talking about friendship market value. I'm sorry. You either are or you are not valuable to the people closest to you, your non-relatives, right? If your friends can't benefit from you, then you're of no value to them. And it goes on and on, right? If your friends can't benefit from you, you're of no value to them. And if you're the only one benefiting from them, then you're selfish. You end up losing your friends because they can't come to you and receive anything. It's not reciprocal. It's not a two-way street, right? There goes that ultimate selfishness again. And then moving on to sexual market value. Again, you either are or you're not valuable to the men who want to have sex with you. So if your partner can't benefit from you, meaning you're not visually appealing, you don't satisfy his sexual needs, you don't or won't bear children, then you are of no value to him, right? And if you're the only one getting your rocks off when he has sex with you, that's selfish. And he'll stop because he doesn't get anything out of this. He doesn't get anything out of it, right? Just to bring it back to reality for everybody, what I'm talking about. This is how you lose the so-called spice in your relationship. because he isn't benefiting from you, either directly in the sexual exchange, in the ways that I said. He's not getting sexually satisfied. He's not getting his rocks off. He's not turned on. He's not excited. You know what I mean? Because 5 years ago when he met you, you were a size 6. Now you're a size 16 and you don't seem like you're doing anything about it, or that you want to do anything about it. So now he doesn't like size 16s, because if he did, he went for one in the beginning. Now you may or may not get down to a size 6, but we can't do 10. We can't do 8. We can at least come away from 16. 16 is pretty big. I was a size 16 and I know how big it is, right? So there's no reciprocation even in the sexual arena with your men, right? Just to bring that example, just to give you that concrete, the reality of what I'm talking about, right? And the same thing when we go back and we take a look at marriage market value. And this is a big one, because if you are or are not valuable to the men who want, you either are or are not valuable to the men who want to marry you. In other words, take care of you. This is why so many of us Black women can't get married, because we are not valuable to them. We can't just make up our own value and say, well, I'm valuable to me, so therefore I should be valuable to you. It doesn't actually work that way. Men have things that are valuable to them and from women. And if Black women can't display that, or can't, or don't have that inside of them to give to Black men who want to marry them, well, then you see the result of the marriage rates, right? Because if your husband can't benefit from you, you're of no value to him. And women are constantly, Black women specifically, are constantly talking about how they aren't valuable to the men that they want to marry, who would potentially want to marry them. Now, I'm not valuable to you because I'm independent. I don't need you. I don't really want you. You don't really have anything for me. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to be valuable to you. Just to make a case in point, I was watching a clip of a show, Ready to Love. And, that's a trip. It's full of content, actually, that show. Because it's relationships, because it's Black men and Black women. And we get to see those. If you ever watch it, you get to see all of the dynamics play out that I talk about on the channel. So it's this one guy, I don't know their names because I haven't really watched the season, but I watched the clip. And this one guy, he was dating, he was a contestant, she's a contestant. I'm saying contestant because they're on the show, right? So you're dating. So he's out on a date with one of the ladies that he's finding really attractive and he likes her, right? And so they are talking to his friend, because I guess that was the premise of the show. On Ready to Love, they always have an episode where your friends and family come and sort of help you vet, the people that you're most interested in. So he's sitting with this young lady, and she asks his friend, what kind of woman does he think the friend that she's interested in is good for him or would be best for him? And the first thing that his friend said was that he needs a woman that is going to be submissive. And she was like, no, I'm not submissive. I'm not submissive. She straight out said it. She's like, I'm not submissive. I don't follow, right? I don't follow. And when they cut away, when the person is just on their own talking about the situation playing out, she's like, yeah, I'm too busy being in charge. I like to lead. I like to be in charge, blah, 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 blah. So this is probably going to be a problem because I like to be in control. So she basically says a version of that to the friend. And he's like, this one needs that though. He needs, because he's too strong. He's too strong. He's strong. He's a leader. So he needs a woman that's going to basically know how to be in a support position. In other words, what he was saying was he's not going to follow no woman. So that's not going to work. He's not going to follow you. You know what I mean? So that was just to illustrate how Black women almost take pride in not being valuable to Black men and wanting Black men to value them anyway. I'm not going to be of benefit to you in a relationship or marriage. I'm not going to give you anything that you want. I'm not going to give you anything that you need. I'm not going to concede to anything. I'm going to fight you every step of the way. I'm going to claw with, I'm just going to be not good. I'm going to be a dead weight. You're not going to receive anything good out of me that you value. The only thing you're going to get out of me is what I think you should value. And then that's what I'll give in portions. I'll spoon feed it to you. Even then, right? So no need in telling me about what you want or what your needs are in this relationship or what your need. None of that. No need in telling me any of that, right? Because I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be that. And since Black women take a whole lot of pride in telling Black men, you know, what they're going to do, what they're not going to do, and where to get off and all this other kind of stuff, this is why we talk about the relationships and the failures in them and the failure of the marriage rate being so low and all of this. And then women are trying to wonder why the men who are qualified, who are husband material, don't want them. And they're looking the other way. Well, you just want another woman because she's going to be submissive. Yeah. I want a wife that's going to be valuable to me for the things I value, not for the things she say I need to value, which is two different things, right? So now let's go ahead and break down a Black woman's biology, culture, right, and her environment. So female nature is her biology. It comes natural to us. Things like hypergamy or hypergamous behavior, which is basically to seek better from a mate, right? That's our biology. That's who we are. And then our feminine energy, that's our culture, what comes from our nature, or how we're expected to demonstrate our nature, right? So the feminine energy comes from your nature, the order and the chaos, but it has to be taught. So we have to be taught how to be feminine. Female nature is nature. How to be feminine, how to express that nature properly is culture. That's feminine energy, right? That's feminine energy. That's within the culture. That's something that needs to be taught. That is not innate. Female nature is innate. Femininity is not quite innate, although it is based on the biology. It is based on her nature. And I need people to really understand that, because I think that there's a misconception all around that femininity is something that you're born with. No, female nature is something that you're born with. Femininity is your culture and your behavior and how you display your female nature. It is based in your biology, but it is not your biology, if you can understand that. So it has to be taught. Things such as respectful and being honorable, right? If she respects something and she honors it, she'll be submissive and obedient to it. And that's key. If she respects something and she honors it, she will be submissive and obedient to it. We're living in an age where this isn't taught, right? So when we talk about the power of positive feminine energy, and I want to draw your attention down to this, right? Female nature. Power is number 9. And a lot of times I don't go into power exactly, but I'm going to go into it now, right? The power of positive femininity has a purpose, a vision, and is rooted in her essence. Basically, is rooted in her ability to support the masculine, right? It has values, character, persona, energy, behavior, a moral compass, roles, which is her duties and responsibilities, And this is represented by the muse in society. This is what it means to be a muse, to have these qualities. When men say, I'm looking for a muse, or he uses his woman as a muse, this is what he's talking about. He's drawing from the power of her femininity, right? He's drawing from that power. It's like a man draws a picture and he draws the picture with detail. But you know what's missing? Color and depth, right? His muse, his woman, the power of her femininity colors the picture. She doesn't create the picture. She didn't draw the picture, but she can see it. And then through the power of her femininity, she colors it for him. This is a pretty blue. This is a bright red. These are subtle pinks. These are subtle green. That she's the inspiration. That's what it means to be an inspiration to a man, to be his muse, right? That's the purpose of the femininity, and giving it, offering that femininity to his vision to support it, right? And all of that is wrapped up in a woman's values, in her characters, in her persona, in her energy, her behavior, her moral compass, her roles. What they trying to get rid of. No gender roles. Oh, we don't have any gender roles. Yes, we do. We have duties and responsibilities, right? When we talk about hypergamy, what is hypergamous behavior, or what does hypergamy seek? When we talk about hypergamy in the concept of female nature, that's number 8, right? What does it seek? Power, status, money, looks, intelligence from a man. Now, she can look for that in different men, or she can look for that in the same man. She can inspire one man, right, for this. She doesn't have to go all everywhere for every man, especially if the power of her femininity is correct, if it's on point. She can actually inspire her man, the same man, where she continues to get these things: power, status, money, looks, and intelligence, right? Because it fits, it's complementary to a man's nature to provide, problem solve, protect, and procreate, right? It goes hand in hand. So now that we've more or less understood the standard of good, right? The standard of good Black women. This is what it's supposed to be. Now we can move into how art imitate life and life imitate art, right? Movie, cinema, TV, all of that. So a trope is an over-exaggerated female character created by ideas that catch on or are an answer to real-life situations. And the more we watch a character, the more we sympathize and may even come to identify with them and see life from their perspective. And a strong example of that is something that Kevin Samuels always talks about, which is the color purple syndrome, identifying with these tropes. And that was full of mammies and Jezebels. That was full of all the classic tropes, right? And began to see life from these characters' perspectives. Remember Scandal, right? Olivia Pope was a mammy, right? She was a mammy and a Jezebel. And I never watched it, and I know that she's a mammy and a Jezebel, right off top. Just from the premise of the show itself. Written by a Black woman, mind you, right? So this is us feeding into and taking on and adopting those tropes. And so many Black women love Olivia Pope. They love her. They saw her as this go-getting, strong, smart, you know what I'm saying, independent, intelligent, beautiful. They saw her as the paragon of what they wanted to be. Okay, this is what Black women were striving to be. They were striving to be Olivia Pope. So let's get back on down to it. So we talk about the good girl, right? The good girl, which is a trope that's rarely, if ever, assigned to Black women, is the closest example that we've created in society of the virtuous wife. So the good girl is embodying of those 9 things, those 9 traits that I talked about in the beginning. She's embodying of that, right? So she embodies the feminine essence and is a powerful muse for a man. Okay? So we're called to reflect. She delivers, and we're called to reflect the character of God. She's embodying, remember Proverbs 31, she's embodying that, the fruit of the spirit. So this is a godly woman in the sense, not so much in the sense of religion, but in the sense of her spirit, right? She invokes good. She invokes you to think of good. She invokes you to treat her good. She does good for others and for herself, right? She's not selfish to the point of toxicity. She will give of herself to others, right? So when we talk about good, we think of things that reflect that. The word good, right? Jesus is what? For the Christians, right? Jesus is what? The good shepherd. A man that finds a wife finds a what? A good thing. A message from God is called good news. The word of God is called the good book. Christians are referred to as good stewards. The 6th fruit of the spirit is goodness. So the good girl, she's good. You see what I'm saying? She is the reflection of a godly spirit, right? Good is a belief. Good is a standard by which all other things are judged. We measure ourselves against good. Do you have a good life? Are you making good choices? Are you a good man or woman? Are you a good son or daughter? Are you a good father or mother? Are you a good husband or wife? Are you good parents? Are you good children? Do you have a good home? Do you have a good car? Are you a good employee? Are you a good friend, a good neighbor? Right? Are you leading by good example? Are you a good example? Do you have good leadership? Are you a good follower? Do you give good treatment? Do you give good support? Do you give or cook good food? Do you serve? You see what I'm saying? Or is the food good? All of that, all of good, which is why I went there first, so that we can understand the negativity of the trope that is assigned to and given to Black women, right? So the good woman essence is the uprightness of heart and life. She's upright, right? She exudes that feminine power that we talked about. She has the power to choose, and she chooses good. She could, what does that mean? Right? All women have the same nature. It's just how it's applied. It's just how it's applied. Does she apply it with the intent for evil? And she has a choice in that. Or does she apply it with the intent for good? And she has a choice in that. Right? And this is why I know some people do, but this is why I never, when we think back to the story of Eve in the garden, I don't see Eve as an evil figure, because she had no intent. She had no intent of malice, nor of evil. That wasn't why she did what she did. And I'm not going to get into it, but that's why, right? The good woman possesses the ability to put another interest above her. So even though selfishness is a part of her nature, she's choosing to be selfless. It's a choice. She's nice, she's kind, she gives unconditional love, she lives for the benefit of others, her spouse, her family, her children, etc. Right? She has realistic expectations. She's not with her head in the clouds. She's not living in a fantasy world, right? She has realistic expectations. She's supportive. She values herself. Remember when we talked about value just now, being a value to herself, but she's also a value to others, right? She has perseverance. She has loyalty. She can focus on finding and defining herself, the spiritual journey. She takes that, right? Finding and defining yourself is part of the spiritual journey. She stands up for what's right and rejects what is wrong, right? She believes in love, she reciprocates it, and is accepted by love. She's valuable. She's valuable to her. She's valuable to her personal, her belonging, her friendship, her sexual, her marriage, market value, right? She's valuable. So now we have a social rejection of the good girl. We've rejected her in society. We don't want her to exist. The good girl should not exist, right? Because if she exists, then we get to see how bad the other ones are. And that's what we don't want to do, right? So there's social rejection of the good girl, trying to live up to the perfections others project onto her. So she's good. She's been attacked and she's been ridiculed. She's foolish. She's naive. She's gullible. She's stupid. She's dingy. She's dingbat. She's a goody two shoes. She's Mrs. Perfect. Being submissive, obedient, and loving a man is teased and considered foolish. And they oftentimes juxtapose it with abuse. So anytime we do see the good girl, anytime we do see this doting, feminine woman, she's always portrayed as similarly, she's stupid. She's only this way because she's an idiot, right? She's only that way because she's forced. Let's go back to Color Purple. Let's go back to Miss Seeley. Let's go back to her. Doting, she cleaned, she cooked, she was domesticated. She didn't have a whole lot of crosswords to say. She didn't have a whole lot of demands. She didn't have, but how did they portray her? As naive, as stupid, as gullible, as foolish. And they also juxtaposed her against abuse. She had to be that way because she was going to be beaten if she wasn't. Right? That's how they get Black women to reject loving your man or being submissive to him or being or embodying any of that good as a woman and having it in your relationship. That's how they do it. That's why Black women identify with it so much. We can't be like that because first of all, she's stupid. And second of all, the only way that you would be like that is if the man, the counterpart that you with, is forcing you through some sort of abuse to be like that. No woman is naturally like that, especially Black women. And we have come to accept that for ourselves. We identify with it now. We identify as Black women with the concept that there is no inherent good. In order to be that, we even say that's white femininity. That submissive stuff and being meek and being gentle and being good, all the stuff that's actually described in the same Bible that a lot of Black women read. She called that white femininity. Why does she do that? Because she's watching movies too, and all of the tropes of white women are like that. If you're old enough, you remember Archie Bunker and his wife Edith. Edith, what did he always call her? A dingbat. But Edith was meek and good, and she served, and she was of value to Archie. And even though he called her a dingbat, you never really thought that about Edith. You sympathized with Edith. You didn't, you know? Because even though Archie was brash, you never saw him hit her. You never saw him hit her. You never saw him really dog her. And when the chips was down, he proved he loved her. When the chips was on the, when everything was on the line, Archie would come through and prove, no, I love her. Yeah, I call her a dingbat and all that kind of stuff, but I love that woman. I love that woman. Right? It's white femininity. Black women bought into that. That's for her. It's not for us, because when we saw it, it was with Mr. And Mr. never reassured Miss Seeley that he loved her. As a matter of fact, he made sure to tell her he did. You understand what I'm saying? So our society does not want the good girl to even exist. So now here we go with the tropes. Female archetypes, right? Fantasies, roles, tropes, characters are thrust into the popular consciousness through movies, TV, magazines, radio, etc. by mostly white writers and producers. So what do we got? We got the smart girl, we got the crazy girl, we got the tough girl, we got the cool girl, we got the muse girl, we got the mean girl or the B, the weird girl, the dream girl, the woman child, the dumb or the dumb blonde, right? The girl next door, the slut, the prostitute or the thought, right? And then you got strong Black women. In art history, there are 3 traditional tropes of Black subjects and a bonus: the sapphire, the mammy, the Jezebel, and then the queen, right? The sapphire is the angry Black woman. And I told you before where sapphire comes from. She's the B. The mammy is asexual, she's maternal, and she's nurturing, but she can't stand Black men, though. Yeah, that's important. Mammies don't like Black men, right? So she's a misandress. The Jezebel is the overly sexual siren. She doesn't have any virtues. And the queen is like the welfare queen or the welfare mother, which stems out of slavery. So when slave owners wanted African-American women to reproduce more slaves, and she characterized them as beasts, right? She's characterized as a beast. The queen evolves into a breeding animal who has no desire to work, but is content to live off of the state and live off of society, right? And society positions these women as a costly threat to political and economic stability. She's a threat. All in all of these tropes are easily found in movies and TV shows, but definitely in the news and social media memes as well. Black men are their oppressors and the enemy for all. Okay? Although they have to deal with them romantically at times, Black men are to be tolerated. He is to be used for a purpose, and he is not to be respected because she's superior. Then you got the ghetto chick, the hood rat, right? She's in poverty. She deals with lost or compromised values. She's surrounded by dark and negative influences, a reality of suffering. That's who she is. Then you got the victim. Then you got the entitled. She's spoiled. Then you've got the femme fatale. She's dangerous. She's dishonest. She's negatively manipulative. She hates men. Her actual purpose as a femme fatale is the destruction of men. She's also a victim. She's sexist, right? She's empowered. She's strong. She owns her own sexuality. She's not interested in traditional values and she's angry at society. Then you have the good mom, the bad mom, or the absent mom. She's adoption, abortion, abandon, jail, drugs, vice, etc. Right? Think Precious is mom. And then you can also have like a mixture of these. It isn't just one for one all the time. Usually, especially now, a Black woman will be embodying of more than a few of these at once. Right? So again, we got the Mammy, the Sapphire, the Jezebel, and the Queen. So femininity is the essence of a woman. And when it is abandoned or not taught, she will adopt masculinity. Okay? She's got daddy issues. A girl or woman who doesn't have a proper placement and connection to masculine energy. Ain't that us? Ain't that us though? No connection to male leadership in her life during her formative years and her influential years. She doesn't know the purpose of men, husbands, or fathers, and what roles men have or play in the home, husbands, fathers. She doesn't know how to interact with men except sexually. As a result, she acts out. This is initially designed by Pornhub people, right? But then now Black women self-proclaim all of this. She's strong and intelligent and independent, aka she's angry Black woman. She's sassy, the sassy, disrespectful Mammy now, versus the good Black woman, which now doesn't exist, right? She doesn't exist. Through wealth and leisure, make her disappear. What am I talking about? Through music, movies, television, etc. Right? Through indoctrination and programming, changing her behavior and attitude. She doesn't exist. Good women, good Black women do not exist. The color purple, again, right? Attack the nucleus of the Black family. Every Black man is Mr. and every stupid Black woman is Celie. And if you were smart, you'd be Suge Avery. Right? Girls Trip attacks the behavior of Black women. Everything is about being a thought. Everything is about sexual liberation, right? Cuties, remember that? Remember that little show that came on Netflix? Attacks the love and connection of young Black women. So they attacked her as a little girl. So we have to understand where all of this stuff comes from. We have to understand the standard of good to understand just how bad they've got these tropes for Black women. It's not for other women. These tropes are not aimed at other women. They are not trying to get rid of good white women or good Asian women or good Latina women. Get rid of good Black women. Convince our men that there's no such thing. There could not be a Black woman that embodied any of the good inherently. She can't do it. It's just not her. You know, the Sapphire, the whole thing about the Jezebel trope is that she couldn't be sexually assaulted because she was such a sexual being, there was no way to violate her. You couldn't violate her even if you wanted to, even if you tried. She can't be violated. It's dehumanizing. And they got us to identify with it and agree. Okay? So, I hope this was very informative to everyone. I want you to sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think about these tropes and about how they've erased good Black women, right? From the public eye, from the mind, from the heart of Black women, especially, right? So sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.